Hey, so welcome to episode 11 of the Amanda Bowden Transitional Coach podcast. And today I'm joined with Colleen Cira, an AuDHD psychologist, mum, and the CEO and founder of the Cira Center for Behavioral Health and the Healing Haven community. Did I get that right?
Yes, you did.
That is a mouthful, mate. So Dr. Cira blends research with lived experience to help people see, support, and celebrate every kind of mind.
That's right.
Hello.
Hi, how are
I,
you, Amanda?
I'm good, thank you. I'm just glad that the
Good.
Zoom thing's working this time.
We thank the technology gods every time it works.
Yeah. So, what's your story behind why you became an ADHD psychologist?
Yeah, so I mean, I didn't intend to do that. I was trained as a child psychologist who majored in trauma, and that was directly informed from my own life, which was full of challenges and big T trauma, little T trauma, and and I figured I was going to go and that was going to be how I healed myself is through helping others,
Yeah.
kind of work through those same things. And so I was all in on trauma. That's how I was trained. But then I started to have children, and what the wild part about that, it's crazy how much they teach us, right? So like I was watching my kids who had experienced no trauma, right? Not at least that I'm aware of. I have no reason to suspect that they've ever experienced trauma, but I was watching them exhibit so many of the same kind of like traits, symptoms,
Yeah.
um, just characteristics of someone who'd been traumatized. And I was like, wait a second, what's going on? And that led me down a neurodivergent diagnostic journey for them initially, but then I of course got wrapped up in it as well. And so turns out my entire family is neurodivergent. And while that doesn't erase any of the parts of my history that were traumatic and
Yeah.
challenging, it adds a layer of complexity that I feel like is really beautiful, because while a trauma lens can be helpful, I think it can also make us feel quite broken. Whereas the neurodivergent lens has been really liberating for me. It's like, oh, I'm not like this because something bad happened to me and I'm forever tarnished and broken as a result of it.
Yeah.
Some of this is just who I am.
Yeah. It's a bit of a
Yeah,
relief, isn't it? And
it really is.
we talked a little bit last time when we was recording and the different emotions that you go through as well,
Yeah,
which is a lot.
absolutely. It's a lot. And even just like the discovery process brings up a lot of different emotions. The
Yeah.
diagnostic process, the feedback, that actually getting the diagnosis, what you do with that, if you choose to incorporate that into part of your identity, it is quite the journey, is it not?
Yeah, you could say
Yeah.
it is a lot, isn't it? That's what I was gonna say. Like, how did you kind of feel after receiving your own late diagnosis of autism and ADHD? Because like you said, many parents don't realize until your
Right.
children start showing,
Yep.
behaviors and things like that. You don't realize until you get to the assessment part and you're like, oh my God, that's me. That's me. That's me.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. One of my kiddos was going through the assessment for ADHD only at the time,
Yeah.
because I wasn't deep enough in the journey to know that we should all be assessed for autism as well. So they were getting assessed for ADHD, and yeah, I was like, "Whoa, wait a second! This is like someone holding up a mirror in front of me." It was really confrontive, but it
Mm.
also it felt good. It felt validating. It's like, oh, this is interesting, and there was a lot of curiosity there, which was cool. And then the autism diagnosis felt different because I think there's just
Yeah.
in general a lot more like shame and stigma around autism, and so that was a harder one.
Mm.
But ultimately so good, because the ADHD just never explained all the parts of me. There were still so many things that felt
Yeah.
confusing and like didn't fit the picture. And so I'm so glad that I know it. And I'm really proud now to be an autistic ADHDer, but it's taken a little bit to get here.
it does, doesn't it? It's like learning to accept parts of you as well. And it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
relearn like your identity. Like everybody else on the outside is like they don't really see you as somebody else, but you feel
Right.
like you are, and you have to say, or not have to say, but when you're ready, oh, I'm ADHD, or like for me, it was autism. So I came at that
Okay.
angle first. And then it was like, well, how do you say to people, and they're like, well, yeah,
Hmm.
we know. Like, what?
Okay, so interesting. You had the experience of people in your life being like, duh.
Yeah,
That was their, okay,
some of them, yeah, yeah. It's been a bit, yeah.
interesting.
But I find like you said, like the autism part is more challenging. I don't know, like you said, because of the way it's presented, because it's like a huge spectrum, isn't it, I guess.
Yeah.
But then like ADHD for me is more around like the parts of the brain that are non-linear.
Hmm.
So it's more like for me, I don't know. It explains the difference of why your brain works differently more for me than the autism
Okay.
part, if that makes sense.
Okay.
It was interesting.
Yeah, it is
Yeah,
interesting.
it is.
I'm glad we both have clarity.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? So like, what are some of the signs that show up in children, and how can parents like best support them through like the whole process from, going through the assessment and beyond towards
Yeah.
diagnosis, I guess.
Yeah, it's a big question, and I think it's really layered because the presentation changes as in many ways as they get older, right? But when I think back to when they were itty bitty, there were signs from when they were like newborns, right?
Yeah.
I think about one of my kids, and literally after I gave birth to them, all they wanted to do is nurse. Like they could not be off of my body. And if they were on my body, they wanted to nurse, and I was a second time parent. And so I was like, this feels a little intense, but like every kid is different,
Yeah.
whatever. It got to the point that my kiddo, I wound up saying to the nurses, you need to take them into the nursery so they can sleep because they won't sleep if they're near me. If they're near me, they will want to nurse and they will puke and then they'll want to nurse and then they will puke. Like they won't sleep. So you need to take them to the nursery. And the nurses gave me a hard time about it. But I was like,
Oh, can
I,
I ask you something in between? What does nursing
please.
mean? Only because like over here we don't kind of
Oh,
use.
right. Such a good question. Breastfeeding.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. What do you guys call
Ah,
it?
breastfeeding, literally.
Breastfeeding. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Got it.
Ah, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, my kiddo would just not stop breastfeeding.
Ah, okay.
Would not stop. And it wasn't until they took them into the nursery that they were able to sleep. And so looking back now, I can see that that was a really sensory seeking behavior.
Yeah.
That food was being and closeness were being used to meet sensory needs, and how that has not changed. I mean, my child is no longer breastfeeding, but that need for closeness, for regulation, how it meets sensory needs, being close,
Yeah.
being physically connected, that has not changed. Transitions were really hard, still
Mm,
are really hard, but it just showed up in a much more dramatic way when both of my children were younger. It would be like the full on meltdowns
yeah.
during transitions, which always felt confusing because I was like, but you want to do this thing that we're
Yeah.
going to do. Like, I don't get it. So a real struggle with transitions, a real struggle with sleep. All of those things were around from the very, very beginning for both of my children. One definitely more so than the other, but major, major sleeping issues for both of them from the very beginning. Um, some sensory issues from the very beginning that I didn't
Yeah.
recognize as sensory issues at the time, but I can now look back and
Yeah, I
be
was
like, oh,
gonna
that's,
say
yeah,
you don't though, do you? Until you start like
no,
researching or literally
yep,
doing training in it, then you don't pick
yep,
up on it.
mm-mm. And I think, you know, it's a big part of why I wanted to start the Healing Haven, because I just feel
Mm.
like what difference could it have made for myself, my kids, my family,
Yeah,
had I known any of this sooner, right? And I'm glad that we did a good job. You know, my kids are only 13 and 11, and they're both diagnosed. That's way better than 37 or whatever when I got diagnosed, right?
yeah, yeah,
Um, I just wish I had known sooner, right? There are so many times that I look back and a lack of patience or a sharpness or an edgeness that, you know, is fundamentally different now that I know, you know?
yeah, yeah. Because the more you're aware about it, then the more you can kind of, what's the word? Not assertive, I can't think of the word. The more you know how to like
Mm-hmm.
put strategies in place and things like
Yeah,
that and work with it instead of
that's
why
right.
is my brain doing this? Why, like you said, you feel
Yeah.
kind of broken before you go through the diagnosis part and stuff.
Yeah. And my hope is that because, you know, my kids know early that they will have less of that. I don't know if that's true. Maybe there's no sidestepping that part of the journey. But I really hope that because they know early that that is going to be helpful and that it will be a less painful journey for them.
Do
I
you
hope.
know? No, do you know what? I'm going through exactly the same as you at the moment because I put a referral in like when my daughter was, I don't know, about 8 or something. So they call it primary school over here. And they rejected it on the end because they went with a school and they said that she had an imagination and she was a high achiever. So it didn't go through. I know, right? And
Yep.
so we kind of got to a crisis point the beginning of this year.
Because that's how it works when you don't get the
Yeah, and now they're
accommodations you need.
taking notice. Yeah, because
Yep.
she's in comp, and that's why I wanted to do
Yep.
it beforehand because I knew the stresses were going to be more,
Yep.
and there would be more sensories, everything, lots more going
Mm-hmm.
on. So that's where we got to. But now we're
Yep.
finally going through the process now, and what I'm finding is like there's quite a bit of support for the kids, but like when the parents go through the emotional stuff and things like that, there's nothing in place over here for that, which
Right.
is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been an interesting journey, but it's not
Totally.
just me on my own. There's plenty of parents like that. And I guess that's
For
kind of
sure.
why you've started the Healing Haven as well,
Yes,
support for things like
exactly.
that.
Because you know, when I think about the fact that again, I'm a psychologist. I'm a seasoned psychologist. I've been in the field a long time. I have a
Yeah.
great network of people who are also therapists, who are my friends. Like, if anyone should be able to manage this and know who to go to and what the resources are, it should be me. And yet, nobody knew anything, and it was exceptionally hard. And
Mm.
to think that it could be that hard for someone like me with as much privilege as I have, like, how are other people even surviving? I don't know.
But
I
you
don't
don't
know.
though, do you? When you're in the emotion and actually in the situation, like people can see from the outside, but when you're in it, it's a totally
Mm-hmm.
different story. It doesn't matter what profession you're under, totally
Absolutely.
different.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, wild. So I really do hope that, you know, and I hope even for the listeners, you know, that are listening in your country, that like Healing Haven is available to them. I want This was really started of wanting to help parents
Yeah,
feel like they have support going through that process. Because if we support the parents, if we support the foundation of a family, the-
exactly. Exactly,
theoretically
dude. I know.
that should flow down to the
I
kids,
know,
right?
right? I
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
And it's
So,
coming straight from a mum, and we're the guys who are dealing with it most, not all the time, but like
right,
generally. So
generally,
then like, because you've gone through the experience, and that's who people are looking for, because then you not only have the training and the research, you have the lived experience as well.
yes,
And that's the
exactly.
most important part, I find, as well.
I completely agree. Healing Haven is it's in its infancy, but my dream for that space is that people feel like they can talk to the other parents and that
Mm.
we start to have this almost like informal mentoring thing, right? Where like as new people are coming in and they're overwhelmed and
Yeah.
experiencing grief and shock and all these things, but we've got all these parents who have been there and they take them under their wing,
Oh, that's
and
cool.
it's not some expert needing to do constant talks. It's like they wrap each other up in support, and it's this, as I climb the mountain, I'm reaching back, with another hand
Yeah,
and pulling you up with me. That I could have used that, and I know a lot of other people can too.
definitely. And I think that's half the battle, isn't it? It's like all the things
Yes.
that you've gone through, and then you're like, oh my God, this could be helpful for a
Mm-hmm.
whole lot more people who, don't have all the knowledge and research. And like, I did have a quick look at yours, and it's a really good price as well.
Oh, yeah, good. Thank you.
Really
That's the
good
whole
price.
point. We want it to be really accessible because that's the other thing. So many of the resources in neurodivergent spaces or that neurodivergent families are looking for are so expensive. Neuropsychological assessments are thousands of dollars
Yeah.
here. And then there's PT and there's OT. And it's like,
What's
what? People
that?
don't have PT and OT,
Yeah.
physical therapy and occupational therapy.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and possibly speech therapy. It's like there's all these things that we're told that our child might benefit from, but it's like, who's got the time and money to do all of this? This is craziness. Just needs to be more
Exactly.
accessible.
Yeah, exactly. Like for me over this way, so what I'm gonna try and do is similar to you, but then like make things like on demand as well.
Yeah.
So that when people haven't got time, they can do similar and find what they want to do
Hmm.
and not make it like crazy prices and stuff like you are.
Yep.
It's really needed, isn't it, right now?
It really is. It really is. And it's just such a better model. Therapy is one-on-one,
Mm,
and you have to have insurance in order to make it affordable. And sometimes even insurance doesn't make it affordable because your copay
wow.
or your deductible is so high. And so I love this group or volume model
Mm,
where, because we're doing it all together and there's so many of us doing this together, we get to make the price really low. And then
yeah,
it works for everybody. Then I'm not giving away my talent and expertise for nothing and living on pennies.
yeah,
You
yeah.
still get the help that you need. You help each other. Like, it's just such a better model.
And it's helping a bigger number of people as well in one go.
Yes. Yes, exactly. I love
Which,
that. I just love that.
yeah, it is amazing. Like, I can imagine that you are so busy as a business owner and everything else as a
Yes.
mother.
You
So
too,
like
right? You get it.
you do. So like what's your routine kind of like? How do you start the day and like what do you do to help keep yourself balanced?
Yeah. So you know this, but this
Yeah.
feels really vulnerable for me to say. But I had a bit of a spiritual awakening. I don't know how many years ago it was now, but it was several years ago.
Okay.
And what that's turned into is that I start every day by grounding myself with my ancestors, with
Yeah.
my spirit guides. I start by meditating. I get my kids out of the door, so
As you
that
do.
so that my space is free from distractions.
Yeah.
And then I can really be present with myself. So I talk to my spirit guides and my ancestors, who I feel very close and connected to. I
Yeah.
meditate so that I can kind of receive whatever I need to receive, and also like hold up a mirror to myself and see what I've been ignoring, the ugly, shadowy parts of me that need some TLC.
Yeah,
And
that's
I,
kind of true because like when you meditate, first of all, your mind is like more busier, isn't it, until you start like get used to it kind of thing.
yep, until
And
you
that's what
settle.
you're
Yep,
talking about is those parts of you coming up
yep,
and
you
just
bet.
learning to like let them float by.
That's right. Or like do the most for me. I I was in therapy for a long time. It definitely helped me. It
Yeah.
was needed. I'm now in a chapter though where like I don't want to talky about it so much anymore. I just like if I see something that I need to work on,
Mm.
that I've been neglecting, I've been avoiding, it feels ugly, it's shameful, then I just let myself fucking cry about it, right? Like, or, there are times where I probably look a little unhinged and I yell or I, hit a pillow and I just like let it move through so that it can be gone
Yeah,
rather
because it's
than
energy, isn't it? At the end of the
it's just
day,
energy. That's
it
right.
is.
It's just energy
That's why it's called emotion, because it's energy in motion.
in motion. That's exactly right. And even though like it's like of course, duh, it's like most people don't know that, and it's
No.
certainly that's not a framework that is included in most Western based practices.
Yeah.
Certainly not therapy. Yeah, we're mostly scared of feelings.
I was gonna say, have you heard of MBIT?
Of what?
MBIT, so you work with the head brain, heart brain, and the gut brain. So
No, I
just
haven't.
connecting. That's really good for things like that.
Hmm.
Anyway, we have kind of diverted, dude.
A-
Because my I
As
got a script normally, but I'm trying to like come out of my comfort zone like you are today, and I'm just trying to have a conversation instead of being fully scripted. So like I do
totally.
go off on a tangent.
Oh, I mean, as us neurodivergent people
And
do.
then yeah, so let's like go back to your routine. Like what do you do after you've done your meditation and then in the morning and you've set yourself up for the day and things like that?
So it looks a little different every day, but I do try to like batch things. I feel like that really works best for my ADHD brain. I can't be jumping. I can jump, but it's hard for me to jump from
Yeah.
like I'm in a meeting in this moment, but I'm working on content in this moment. So Mondays are a social media day. So that's when I put together all of my content and record,
Okay.
excuse me, for the week. So Mondays are social media. Tuesdays, what are Tuesdays? Oh, Tuesdays I do more content, but like newsletter. And then more Healing Haven work. Wednesday is Healing Haven work, content, policies and procedures, systems,
Wow.
etc. And then Thursdays is all day long meetings. That's my least favorite day, but I get to do it with people I love, so that's good.
Yeah,
And Friday I take for myself, which is really lovely.
that is nice.
Yes,
You've got
yes.
you've got a nice little routine going on there.
I do, but I'm
Yeah.
constantly tweaking it, right? Like I think that's the ADHD part of me, but I appreciate it because
The
it,
flexibility.
it's yes, it's
Yeah,
teaching me to be
yeah.
flexible, and flexibility is also a privilege. And so, yeah, I'm always tweaking it to be like, I don't like this or this didn't work. What could be better? But
That's
yeah, that's
cool
the
though.
general outline.
Yeah, because like sometimes you've got the ADHD, not ADHD, um, autism part of you, and you're like, oh, I need routine, blah blah blah, and then
Yes.
the ADHD part's like, hang on, no, I need some new stuff. This is getting
Yep.
boring. Let's change
Yeah.
it
Let's
up.
blow it up. Let's
So
blow it up.
yeah, so it's like some days they can like they're working against each other, but I think they actually
Yes,
balance each other out when you're in a good
I agree.
space.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'd be a rock if I was just ADHD and not autistic as well.
It'd be like
I
go,
feel
go,
like,
go.
yes, I feel like my autism keeps me in check, which I'm grateful for. Yeah.
It is cool. What was I gonna say? So like I know it's important to learn about like the challenges of ADHD, like we were saying a little bit, to understand ourselves better and that like I don't know what I've written on you. Oh, this is my dyslexia, right? I look at my
It's okay.
questions,
We're all good.
dude, right? I write them down. This is about my last podcast, and then when I read them back, they don't make sense.
Yep,
Oh my God. What I was
you're
going to
good.
say is like, what are some of the strengths of being AuDHD and how can those listening kind of best nurture them, I guess?
Yeah. I think there are so many like strengths and gifts within both neurotypes, which is again not to say that being neurodivergent is better than being neurotypical. I think
Mm.
every neurotype has its struggles and its challenges. as well as its gifts. And so
Yeah.
for me, I think one of the best parts of ADHD is it's allowed me, it works really well for me as an entrepreneur.
Mm.
If I was just autistic, I would probably feel like something has to be perfect before I could put it out to the world, right? And of course, perfection is impossible. So it would like probably never get out there, right? And because of my ADHD, and I can be a little impulsive and a little like, I don't give a fuck. I've been able to do some really cool things,
Mm.
like start my business, which
Yeah.
I started when I was 6 months pregnant. I left a stable salaried job with benefits
Wow.
when I was 6 months pregnant. I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this. I'm doing my own thing, and my husband wanted to like kill me.
I
But
bet.
it all clearly has worked out just fine.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that part of the ADHD. And in terms of the autism, I don't know what research has to say about this, but I'll just
Mm.
speak about my own personal experience. I feel like there are a certain subsection of autistic people who are hyper empathic, like deep, deep, deep
Yeah.
empathy, right? Like soul crushing empathy sometimes. And so while that feels a bit like a blessing and a curse, I really do think it's one of the most beautiful things about me is that I feel
Yeah.
so deeply. And I'm pretty sure that is tied to my autism.
Yeah, like I've actually done a little bit of research on that because I was
Yeah.
asking a question. I was asking my guides a question and it comes in normally in a form of a video or something else or research. And I was like, are all um empaths, because that's the angle I've come in, are they
Yeah.
all neurodiverse? And they're not, are they? I don't know why
Right.
that question came in, but it was like everybody's empathic, but only at certain stages, or some people don't wake up spiritually, so they're not tuned in. So it just means you're more tuned into everything. And then,
That's what it feels like.
yeah, literally, right?
Yes.
Um, that's like learning to be human and everything. And then it
Uh-huh.
crosses over with like ADHD or other neurodiversities. And what I found is that like the ADHD part is how your brain and your nervous system works. And so, like, the empath part is more with the emotions and the heart. So, they are different parts of who you are, if that makes sense. So, you don't
Hmm.
always get someone who's empathetic, really empathetic and deeply
Right.
tuned in, as well
Right.
as being neurodiverse, if that makes sense. So,
Yeah.
like, the ADHD is a higher expression of consciousness. So, I've found it to be like a quantum brain.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if that makes sense to you and people listening, but that's what I found so far.
When you say a quantum brain, what do you mean by that?
As in, like the ADHD side is more like it's non-linear, isn't it? So that's like
Hmm.
quantum. And so, what's the word? There's a quantum part called superposition. So it means that your brain can
Ah,
be in more than one frequency
place
at
at the
once.
same time.
Yeah, which means this is why ADHD works because they both work together. Like that, if that makes sense. And you're using the left and right hemisphere of the brain as well.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, there's that. I can't remember the rest of it, but it's all I've written it down somewhere. So I've just been doing a load of research, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh, I know, sorry. And we generally run in a higher brain frequency, so we go up into gamma frequency.
Yes.
And that's where we connect with our guides and things like that, and the quantum field around us. So like when you're neurodiverse and lots of thoughts come in and things like that, I found that it's because the brain doesn't filter out so much at the quantum field. So like the um collective, so to speak, like an information pot, if you want to say. So that's why you need to meditate more.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's such a good point because I when I talk to neurodivergent people, And I want to be clear, neurodivergent is such a broad term. So when I talk to ADHD and autistic people,
Mm.
typically the knee jerk response is like, oh, I can't meditate. Like my brain is too busy, right? And I'm like, that it is true. I
Yeah.
understand why that feels like a frustrating thing. And at the same time, once we do practice, we can get into it a little bit easier because we do have less beta going on and we do have a little bit more gamma going on, or at least more access to those different brain waves,
Yeah.
which does give us states to altered consciousness, right? Which I have found to be absolutely life changing to have access to different types of consciousness. And again, like we're talking about, that can be taken in a spiritual way, but it doesn't have to be. It's also
No,
just
no.
cool to have different states, to experience different states of consciousness while awake and not under the influence of a substance, right? I
Yeah,
think that's just a
literally.
really cool ability,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
everybody has. But I do think if ADHD and autistic people tried a little more or were willing to give it a shot, they might have an easier time than they think
Yeah, because the brain is like new, I can't think the word. Is it neuroplasticity? Is that the word?
in terms of its ability to change.
Yeah, and things like that. So you can like rewire it and
Yeah,
so it just takes time and
it does
patience.
take time and
Yeah,
patience, right? Things we're not great at, right?
exactly. That's true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
dude, when
tricky.
I said it out loud, I was like, yeah,
Yeah, it's tricky, but I do think it's worth it, right? And
totally.
I appreciate this angle of the conversation because I think when we're talking in ADHD and autistic spaces, it can skew pathologizing. It can be all about limitations, right?
Yeah.
And I love the idea of honoring
Mm.
limitations and like respecting what the body needs while also saying, this is a worthy pursuit. And it does feel challenging. And it is probably extra challenging because I do have several thousand more thoughts than my
Yeah, yeah,
than my
exactly that,
neurotypical peers,
exactly that.
but it's a worthy pursuit and I can practice and I can get better at that, right? And I think that perspective is often missing from these kinds of conversations. So I'm grateful you brought that up.
No, do you know what? This is exactly what I was thinking. Like after I've gone through the process of going backwards, like the spiritual stuff, and then going through the neurodiverse side of things after, it felt like I limited myself a little bit because you start to learn so much that
Yes,
you bring it
correct.
in kind of thing, if that makes
Yep,
sense.
yep,
So it's like I feel like I'm coming back out the other side.
yes.
So
And I go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, like the way some people teach it and things does stay quite limiting compared to, yeah, how it can be, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think so. And I think part of that is what I've heard is kind of a typical, maybe even universal experience of once you find out that you are an ADHD or autistic. A lot of people have this experience of like their symptoms get worse, like they become more autistic, they become more ADHD, right? And it's simply that awareness, right? Because we know
Yeah,
that what you focus on grows. And so it makes sense that people have that experience of like feeling extra limited or extra disabled when they're coming out of this post diagnosis fog.
mm,
But I love that part of that trajectory can be, again, if you choose it, if you
yeah,
work toward it, if you're willing to take some time and have some patience over it, that you can get to more of a middle ground where you can respect your limitations, you can
yeah,
listen and honor your body, but also say, I can do whatever the fuck I want.
yeah. So it's literally
Um,
like making a conscious choice because,
it's
like,
making, yeah, yes,
for me, what I see is like, we have more towards like the severe side of it, and then those of us who are aware of it. So why not use the awareness, isn't it, to kind of do that
yeah,
if we can, because that's the
right.
other thing, right?
Yep, to accommodate the struggles and to really like dig into those strengths. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So I'm aware of the time, so I'm gonna skip a couple.
Okay, no worries.
Um, so like I'm both I'm both. No, I'm AuDHD. I don't know why I've put both. And someone with a history of trauma. And I've also always wondered how like psychologists can tell the difference between the two doing assessments. So like AuDHD and trauma, because we know it overlaps. And
Hmm.
I guess now that we've gone through the whole pandemic as well, it shows up in people more than it may have before in previous lives. Like, so is it like kind of harder for you? How do you kind of distinguish between the two, if that makes sense?
Yeah, no, it definitely does. And this is constantly coming up, right? Especially I started my origins and still am, or as a trauma psychologist. I have a whole team full of trauma therapists. Like, so this comes up all the time. And, I think it makes sense when we think about that our brain wants us to be binary. Our brain likes an
Mm.
efficient filing system where we just put something in a very clean box and we keep going, right? Because if we really process everything, there's so much nuance we couldn't function. So our brain works in this binary way. The world wants us to work in a binary way. Everything is good or bad or black and white,
Yeah.
and whatever. And the neurodivergent people, ADHD and autistic people specifically, are more prone to black and white thinking, right? So I think it makes sense we think about it on a binary, but I don't think about it on a binary,
Okay.
because in my experience, people who do experience a lot of trauma are often ADHD or autistic or both. Um,
Yeah.
and there's so many different reasons for that, right? Like just the experience of being neurodivergent in a neurotypical world, that in itself can create
Yeah,
trauma,
that's true.
right? The feeling like you're not enough, you're always late, you're always wrong. Why can't I be like everybody else, right? Like that
Mm.
that in and of itself can cause CPTSD. Then you factor in the research that autistic people specifically are more likely to experience things as traumatic that their neurotypical peers would not. So, autistic people are more prone to PTSD specifically. And we don't fully understand that, or at least I can't intelligently speak to the research about that. But that's
That would
another
make sense to me though,
aspect of it.
because
Yeah.
yeah, because if like from my perspective, like you kind of feel more
Hmm.
deeply, so you're taking it all in, the emotions and everything and the sensory. So
And
that
the
would make
sensory.
sense.
Yes.
100% sense.
Yes, exactly. And then we also know that specifically for autistic people, they are more likely to experience things that
Mm.
are in fact traumatic. They're more likely to
Yeah.
experience exclusion. They're more likely to experience bullying. Um, so when you combine all of those things with the possibility that someone could also grow up in a abusive, neglectful, chaotic home environment, especially for women and girls, and people who are assigned female at birth, the amount of sexual violence that we experience, just standard, like, yeah, it's like, of course they go together. So this conversation, like, is it one or is it the other? It's like, in my experience, it's
Mm.
typically both. And I think there's
Oh,
actually some research that supports that as well.
yeah. Like we said on the last time we tried recording, like you put a post out and then I read it around. You put like autism, the ADHD, and then the trauma, and then it made sense and how you explained it, and they were just nice, little, easy,
Yeah,
understandable slides,
good.
and it was like validation as well. It was just a lot, and I
Mm-hmm.
was like, wow, it's such a simple thing, answered so many things that I've asked for
Oh,
years.
good.
Yeah, because like for me, like I don't see many. People with diagnosis, they're not trained in trauma. And I think it's important, to be honest, because like you said,
Yes.
it all comes in a package, you know?
Yes, it sure does. And, for the longest time, trauma informed care was like the big thing in psychology. It's like be trauma informed, be trauma informed. But now what I'm starting to understand because of this intersection we're talking about and the enormous
Mm.
overlap, you can't be trauma informed unless you're neurodivergent competent because without that neurodivergent piece, you're going to see everything as trauma, which means you're
Yeah.
endlessly going to be working on things that need to be fixed or healed
Yeah.
without understanding that maybe some of these things are just who that person is. And
Yeah.
that's harmful. That's a,
Yeah. It
that's a
really is. It
harmful
really
thing.
is.
Yeah,
I was similar to you. I came in with like the trauma perspective first, and then
right.
I'd be like, that's not ADHD, that's trauma. And then when you
Mm,
actually look into it, like, oh wow,
mm-hmm.
no, hang on a minute, there's not. It's
Totally.
parts, all different parts.
Yep. And
And
once
if
you see it, you can't unsee it.
no, no. So like, what do you see yourself doing in the near future? And like, what new, if you do have any new things, coming up for you?
I mean, the main thing is really building Healing Haven.
Yeah.
I feel like that's my life's work. I feel like that's what I'm
That's
actually
your
here
baby.
to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was CCBH, and turns out no. It's definitely the Healing Haven. So I'm just really excited to not only be a leader in that space, but to get
Yeah.
to be a part of that community. What I want for everybody else, I actually want for myself too. And it's been nice to feel like a community member, not just a leader, which is an unusual experience for me.
Yeah.
So I'm really, that's the thing I'm most excited about. And we're of course doing ADHD and autism diagnostic assessments
Mhm.
that are much lower cost, much less time than
Wow.
neuropsych assessments, to make that more accessible. So yeah,
You're doing a
I,
lot. A lot of
oh,
good stuff.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
It feels like exactly why I'm here.
You can see that because it's coming at you are genuinely passionate about what you do. And you don't
Yes, I
see
am.
that much in the field, and it's nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's okay. So what one thing would you like to share to like inspire, inspire and empower those who are listening today?
I think a couple of things. I think that one of the things is to trust your gut. You know,
Yeah.
the amount of gaslighting that I received from really well-intentioned people along the way, like, oh,
Really?
they're fine. It's just a phase.
Oh yeah.
He's just a boy. This is normal. We just went through the pandemic, right? Like, and everybody's trying to be kind and they're viewing it from their lens and they're trying to like make you not worry, right? But underneath all of that flowery reassurance, I
Yeah.
knew that wasn't true. And if I had listened to my own intuition sooner, I think it would have turned out differently. Again, it's all okay.
Yeah.
I don't feel
Yeah.
like my kids are too far behind, but don't listen to your intuition. Don't let people gaslight you into thinking that they know better about
100%.
you or your child than you do, because that's ludicrous.
I know, right? At the end of the day, you're their
Ludicrous
mum and you're with them like more
all the
time than
time,
anybody else.
all the time. Yeah, it's just wild. Yeah, and then be brave, right? Because
Mhm.
it's not, intuition is wonderful, but it
Mhm.
actually only changes your life if you do something with it.
Yeah, listen to it and take the action.
And take action, right? Take
Yeah.
aligned action. So if you believe that something is off with you or your kiddo,
Mhm.
go and seek the answers, and you will have lots of people tell you everything's fine, and you have lots of people shut the door in your face, but
Yeah.
like, you just keep going
Yeah.
because you know your kid and you best. But I think the world makes that hard. So those are the two things I would say.
Oh, I love that. Okay, before we wrap up, is there anything you would like to add on
I
top?
don't think so. I think we
No,
covered
I think
a
you've,
lot of good
yeah, I
stuff.
would say so. Oh, it's been really good. So like where can the listeners and watchers find you on like social medias, your website, etc.?
Yeah. So I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, LinkedIn as well, but I really only post like super professional things there. I'm
Yeah.
doing teaching on Instagram, Facebook,
Oh,
and YouTube. And so I'm Dr. Colleen Cira, Dr. Colleen Duffy Cira, some places, whatever, but some combination of Colleen Duffy Cira, Dr. Colleen Cira will get you where you need to go. I'm also happy to drop you links to make it easy for people. And
yeah,
then
I was gonna
people,
say I'm gonna put them in the
yeah.
details as well.
And then my business right now is Cira Center for Behavioral Health at ciracenter.org. And that's where people can learn more about the Healing Haven as well.
Ah, fab. Thank you. This has been amazing. I've been so excited to
Thank
do this
you.
too today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's really been lovely, and I appreciate the spiritual integration. I really do. So thank you for that.
Cool. No worries. Bye for now, guys.